Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here, coming at you today with some Sentai and some Rider news. The Rider news are rumors more so about Gotchard are rather small, but it wasn't warranting a whole video, so I just wanted to toss it in at the end. But let's talk about some Sentai stuff first. So first of all, we got some more looks at our next upcoming mech, the upcoming large-scale beetle mech that is obviously transforming from that castle we see in the series, very much giving me vibes of the, what was it called, Roboborg? The big mecha from Beetleborg's Metallics definitely reminded me of that, which I overall really like the design. In general, I really have been liking the designs for the Mecha and the King-ohger series, and this is no exception. It looks pretty cool. And then, of course, the big combo, combining it with the rest of the combos, which I think is, what, 22? Technically 22. It's funny how much attention this gets of, like, it's the most mecha ever, and it's like, really, they just invented the little ladybugs to put it on there. It very much feels like a technicality to me. But I do like the looks of this. You know, I've seen some mixed reception to this design, or these designs in general, as we've gotten the bigger and bigger combos, as it looks a little bit messy to some people, and it does. I feel when you do larger combos in general, you're always going to have it look a little bit messy. For me, this looks more like an organized mess, both like the one with kimonos and then this one. I do like just the general design of it in concept and seeing it in the show. I think it looks pretty cool. I have some mixed feelings on the toys and some worries about like the way that this is going to combine with the toys, mainly because like when I got Spider Kimonos, combining it with the rest of them wasn't so much fun, and it was a little bit more unstable, and it didn't like look necessarily awful, but it didn't look as good as it does in the show, and that felt a little bit more messy in terms of finagling it, and it was more unstable. But like seeing it in the show, you know, the actual design actually looks pretty cool. Same thing here, so I'm more so worried about it just kind of being a little bit messy and hard to deal with on the merchandise side, but in terms of the design, I do kind of like it. It's honestly just kind of building off of what we already have and isn't drastically changing, you know, the way that it looks or the way that it combines or anything like that. Now, in probably more significant news, we have a rumor right now that we are going to be getting some Kyoryuger content within King-ohger. So you heard that right. So as of right now, as of this recording, the rumor is that because, of course, it's a Toku anniversary, we can't just say, hey, happy anniversary, and then move on. Since there's an anniversary coming up for Kyoryuger, the rumor is that King, right now, is that only that King is going to show up, the Red Ranger of the series. Again, that could change. There could be more cameos and stuff, but as of this recording, the rumor is that he's going to make an appearance in the show for a crossover, and not just that, but that there's going to be some new merchandise and combos to go along with that. I think I originally saw that it was going to be like a new version of Gabutira, sort of, that's going to be released, and then I saw later that it was going to be a new version of Kyoryugen, which obviously Gabutira takes up or makes up the lion's share of Kyoryugen. So bottom line is possibly some sort of new release version of a Kyoryuger mech that's going to be able to combine with the King-ohger stuff. So that would likely appear in whatever the crossover event is, as well as some possible merchandising. And then there's also rumored to be a red Gaburi caliber, which might give him a new power-up. That is the rumor as of right now. If you guys have followed the channel for a long time, you know that I probably have mixed thoughts on this because I'm, you know, not the biggest fan of the Toku crossovers, the constant Toku crossovers. I remember an interview about Superhero Tyson where they said, like, well, now that we're done with the anniversaries, we thought, let's keep the celebration going, and I feel like it never stopped. It is funny, though, because it's very much perspective-based. You know, I feel like I've been sick of Toku crossovers for a decade. Meanwhile, everyone's talking about multiverse fatigue, and I couldn't be more excited for more multiverse movies. Now, in terms of superhero movies, not Toku movies. But anyway, I just have mixed thoughts on this, because whenever these are announced, because we do get stuff like this so often in terms of crossovers and returns movies, it's not exciting anymore. It used to be like, oh man, this is really cool, but it's like, oh, Dawn's in trouble, must be Tuesday, type of deal. However, I will say that, you know, I do like Kyoryuger, and I don't mind the idea of these sort of returns movies ideas or seeing the characters again. In this case, my, you know, mixed feelings are less about the crossover aspect and less about the way it's happening, is that it's going to happen in the show, which it does make sense to a degree because you have the whole, you know, literally the character calls himself King, you have King-ohger, so it's not like this is the total forced crossover or anything like that. I mean, it is a little bit. It's kind of like, oh, we have to do Ryuki because, you know, it's a multi-rider series about Desire or whatever for the Geats crossover, but so it's not like there's not possible connections you can draw, but I think for me, I would just rather it not happen in the series. Especially this always happens in series like King-ohger or Go Busters or Gaim, where it's a really tight, well done, self-contained series, and then there's a forced Toku crossover in it. So I'm a little bit annoyed that it might happen in the show. I would rather us get a standalone special. Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind at all just doing a straight up Kyoryuger Returns movie. Maybe they just couldn't get everybody back like they could for Hurricane and Abba Ranger, so they wanted to do something with maybe just King and whoever else they can get back. That's possible. But in general, I would much rather them just, instead of forcing a Toku crossover, just do, if you can, some sort of return special, you know, and again, there's a rumored power-up for him for this, and so that sounds very similar to what they're doing with Abba Ranger and Hurricaneger, where you have a Returns movie, cool new mode. I would much rather have that. Or do a standalone crossover special, V-Cinema, whatever, that has King and whatever other Kyoryugers and the King-ohgers. Just keep it out of the main series. Again, this is at the end of the day just a personal preference. It's not going to ruin my life. It's just I have mixed feelings on it, and I would much rather see it be kind of its own thing. Kind of like with, you know, the Dino crossover. I think that the Triple Dino crossover should have been its own movie, separate from the Go Busters Returns. But we'll have to see. I am intrigued by the idea of a new Kyoryuger mecha and seeing how that interacts with the King-ohger stuff, especially if it's maybe more articulated, and also this possible new power-up, because I do like Kyoryuger and I like the suits, and I'd be interested to see what they're doing for it. So, yeah, that's some news. As far as the Gotchard stuff, it's just kind of two news rumors that, again, it didn't warrant a whole video, but I thought I would talk about it. So, if you didn't know, the gimmick for this series is going to be cards, and apparently it's, right now, I don't know if it's been, it might be confirmed after I've recorded this, but right now it's rumored that they'll be released in kind of booster packs, which is kind of interesting, and that they might start releasing next month. Which maybe I think is in line with, usually you get like one of the gimmicks that shows up before the series starts. Like I don't remember what it was for Geats, if there was one, but I remember like you had the Megalodon Vistamp show up, like because he used that in like Revice's preview. So it's been a tradition for quite a while to get like kind of a sneak preview of the main rider's next gimmick that comes out a little bit before the main toys. So that sounds like maybe what this is. The booster packs is interesting just because obviously that's a way that you get a lot of card collecting, but from what I recall, and to be fair, like I wasn't following Rider when Ryuki and Blade were out, so maybe they did do booster packs, but like I don't think we did it in that form. I certainly don't think we did it with Decade, so I think that'll be an interesting delivery system for the gimmick that makes sense for cards, but it's kind of unique for this, and might be kind of annoying for completionists. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, just because I thought it was fun, is that there's a rumor that we're going to bring back for this series the little buddy monsters. You know, stuff like the food droids, the can droids, you know, the disc animals, stuff like that for this series. And that actually excites me because I always liked those. I thought they were a lot of fun. They're hardly the most important or consequential, or not necessarily even always the most exciting thing to collect for some people, but I always thought they were really fun and adorable and had a lot of personality. And it's something I'm glad we don't do all the time, just because it's one of those things you don't want to run the idea into the ground. But also I always would wonder like what each series, little like mini monsters would look like. So I like the idea that we'll bring it back every now and then, and if they look fun, I might pick them up. As I've said in previous videos, I have no concrete plans for regular Gotchard coverage, but I will review anything I get, and you know, if I end up collecting these, I'll, you know, review those. But let me know your guys' thoughts on all this news. What are your thoughts on our next King-ohger mecha, the idea of a Kyoryuger crossover, as well as these Gotchard rumors. But until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.